most important thing is the trust of your people.
Y es muy fácil perderla.
And
Hay gente
it's
que,
very easy to lose it.
que se mete en el camino de la política porque le gusta pasarla bien.
A lot of people join politics because they just want to have a good life.
Y ese es el camino de la corrupción.
And that's the path to corruption.
That was it. Damn.
Yep. Yeah. I liked him a lot when he was president.
Words of wisdom right there by Pepe Mujica.
Mujica. I love how he said, do not fall into authoritarianism. That is the worst thing a leftist can do. Because the moment you fall into an authoritarianism, you're giving emphasis for the right, who has said, oh, communism is a bunch of authoritarian da-da-da-da-da, you're giving credence to it, right? And if that happens, guess what's going to happen next time? You're going to have a right-wing fascist government take over. That's how the pendulum swings. Authoritarianism is the enemy here. You can have an authoritarian leftist party. You can have an authoritarian right-wing party. Authoritarianism isn't my friend. That's why I hate a lot of the Western, these synthetic left who are extremely authoritarian, extremely gatekeepers who say, if you don't agree with me, then you're a Nazi or you're this and that. I hate that. Do not let these people dictate like what is and what isn't leftism, and that it's just authoritarianism. It's just not. It's not a good thing. I wanted to kind of go over real quick as we're nearing the end on what the rondas are, because basically I'm just explaining to you the rondas are. You can play the video in the background because it's too. It's pretty long, but it's basically the rondas help defeat terrorism in Peru. During the time of the during the time of Fujimori, the rondas helped target these terrorist groups and these groups that were attacking a lot of the campesinos, which are the farmers and the indigenous people that live off the land, right? And these people don't get paid for anything. And you see Pedro Castillo dresses a lot like this because he considers himself a rondero. And they would take turns to control, to monitor people coming in, and they would hide in the plants, and they would camouflage themselves, and they would defend their land, and they would defend their people against corruption, whether it was from the police, whether it was from the government, whether it was from other factions that were terrorists. They would defend them, and a lot of the times they get accused of being part of the Shining Path or being part of the terrorist group when they were a separate faction. That was actually when that group sort of grew corrupt. They started defending the indigenous people that were also getting killed. So the ronderos are a very important part of the Peruvian culture that doesn't get mentioned a lot. I guess if you're from Mexico, I would compare it to the rancheros, right? But these people, they defend. They're like a community police of the region. So I found it very interesting. I found it very socialist, very leftist, that they created their own community policing to defend their land, to defend their people, and they were framed and then smeared as being terrorists when they were actually fighting a lot of the terrorism themselves. And they call them doms. They make fun of them in mainstream media. They mock them. They say that they're savages and brutos, which is brutes. And none of that is true. Part of their education that they have there is to not steal, to not lie, to protect each other, to just very more integral teachings of integrity, of how to be. And it's not a profession. It's like they just do it as a side thing. And so I just wanted to talk about them for a little bit because Pedro Castillo is from there, and they kind of mocked him because he has this sort of very simple, I'm a rondero with the hat, the straw hat, which is a classic thing they wear. And they look at them as less than, but really a lot of these people, they defend themselves very well against a lot of people, and they're going to right now during the election in the region where Pedro Castillo is from, where he's going to go vote. They're already setting up to be there in case anything happens. So they kind of create their own little militia group, and I find that really interesting. There's something to be learned, I think, from them. You know, they're not. I don't see them being violent. It's not like they're heavily armed or anything, but they simply are there to make sure that their communities are safe. Simultaneously, just as a side note, the government of Peru has put out the military, thousands of military, to go to different posts in Peru for tomorrow, because they're afraid that there will be a pushback. And the mainstream media, the current president of Peru, has been saying, let's make sure that no matter who wins, there's a peaceful transition of power. We don't want any violence. It really reminded me of how before Biden won, everybody was saying, everybody in the establishment was saying, even Bernie Sanders, whoever wins, we will be very peaceful, and we will allow a transition of power, and all of that. All the mainstream media was repeating it. Everybody was saying it. And then, of course, there were calls about fraud and stuff like that, and it just kind of makes me really like, oh, why are they saying this? Because I asked, I said, is this normal? Do they always say that, we're going to have a peaceful transition of power? Do they always emphasize this? Because I've heard it on the news, I don't know how many times. And I was told, no, they don't ever say it this much. They're saying it now because a lot of people don't like Keiko Fujimori, and they're saying there's fraud already. And a lot of people, obviously, also, there's a sector that doesn't like Pedro Castillo, so they're expecting something. And I genuinely believe no matter who wins, there's going to be protests, because people already feel like the elections are biased, the media is biased, and so that's already, against Pedro Castillo, right? And a lot of the anti-communist people have been also out in the streets too. So there's that. So I suspect we're going to see a lot tomorrow and Monday on this.
Yeah, it should be interesting. God damn.
Yeah, so the last couple things I just wanted to say, this one guy, we don't have to watch the video, but he's in the media, they're saying that if Castillo wins, there will be a coup, is what it said in the video. If Castillo wins, there will be a coup. And they compare the history of Pinochet, right? So Pinochet didn't win. Pinochet, initially the other candidate won in Chile, and then when he won, months later, there was a coup to oust him off of power. They didn't stop until basically the guy committed suicide. Pinochet came in and established a giant dictatorship where he started going after blatantly killing any sort of leftist, because the man that was in there was a socialist. And Pinochet, with the help of these right-wing factions, pushed a coup and ousted this leftist. And they didn't stop until, like I said, he killed himself, and then they went after every single leftist. This happened in Chile. So they're saying, that is a possibility, again, because it's such a big deal. If a leftist wins in Peru, that could change the geopolitical aspect of so many things, not just for the global south, but for the west.
Playing the video in the background as you're talking, I saw a second there. They had Castillo there, and he was in the Plaza de Armas, right?
Yeah.
That's the.
That's like the city, like the downtown, the
giant roundabout, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So he had a huge crowd there. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So
he's got a lot of support. Yeah, he's got a lot of support, but like I said, he's just got a lot of really powerful people against him. So, and you know how elections are. Another thing I wanted to point out, and this I just found out late yesterday into today, And to understand this, I'm going to mention names that nobody knows about, but just to give you guys context. So, this is my tweet, right? Breaking Piero Corbeto, the head of the OSCE. So the OSCE is the office in charge of the elections, right? It's called the Oficina Nacional de Procesos Electorales. They're the ones that are doing the elections. They're going to be counting the elections. They're in charge of the elections. So he is the head of the entire thing. There are different divisions and there are different heads in different districts, but he is like the head of the entire thing, right? So he was found to have visited Keiko Fujimori's party, Fuerza Popular. And not only did he visit them recently, he also used to work for them. He's a party member of them, right? And he refused to give the media any explanation as to why he went there. But he is a member of the same party. Now, what does it sound like? It sounds like Alex Padilla, right? It sounds like this conflict of interest where the Secretary of State that controls the elections is fundraising for Hillary Clinton, appearing with Hillary Clinton, while simultaneously is supposed to be impartial during the primaries. It's very, very similar, right? He also, this guy, Corbeto, worked for Peru's intelligence, the DII, the Dirección Nacional de Inteligencia, under Fernando Rospiligosi, a member of the same party, Fuerza Popular. And it's crazy because Filigosi is one of the Rospiligosi is one of the corrupt people also that is part of the Fuerza Popular, and you could look through this, you can Google this guy, you can Google Corbeto and find his whole, background and where he worked at in his career, and he's in charge of the official counting of this race. And that makes me question the authenticity, and why not somebody talking about this. He is the guy that's in charge of this, and he has affiliations with one of the parties. That shouldn't be allowed, right? That shouldn't be allowed. So it's bad. And just to mention, briefly, there's another part of this where there is a document, the document of the OSCE showing the contract. It has a contract with a businessman that has ties to a corrupt company that was one of the companies involved in a giant embezzlement, and in this contract, they made this contract, the OSCE made this contract with this company, and again, that company is a big business, elitist business company that is, currently in trouble for money laundering, and they are pro-Keiko as well. So why these elite business contracts are happening with these insidious groups, and why these people are in charge of elections when they are obviously partial to one side, that lends suspicion to me. And people are saying that this is fraudulent and that they don't trust the results. They're not going to trust the results. So this is why there's that pushback of, if Fujimori wins, then we're going to protest in the streets. A lot of the leftists said if she wins, that they're not going to allow it, they're going to protest in the streets. And then, of course, you put that into context with the army, being ordered by the government to stand their post all over the cities of Peru. Who knows what's going to happen? But I'm going to be out there. So I'll bring you guys all as much information as I can tomorrow. And one of the reasons why people are so suspect is because reportedly in the first round of elections there were ballots pre-marked for Keiko. Now this sounds very similar to allegations from the Trump administration or from Trump supporters that there was an issue with the ballots. But let's look at it here. This man is showing the camera that there was a ballot for Keiko that he didn't fill out. There's another video I didn't post where there's a woman yelling at them. And this is in Miami, where the people go to vote. So
the video's not loading, Sam.
Oh, that sucks. That's weird. That is very weird. It's loading for me. Yeah, it's let me see here. Let's see if I can.
You can If you send it to me on Facebook, I can pull it up, I think.
Yeah. If I what?
If you send it to me via Facebook.
Okay, send it. Okay, yeah. Here, I will send it to you.
Although nothing's open right now, I don't know what's going on actually.
Oh. All right. Send it to you in one of the.
It's nothing's opening up, Pam. I don't know what's wrong.
Okay. All right. If I could show it to you guys, I would. Let me see. I'll put it in the chat and see if it opens for anybody else. I'll put it in the Rockfin chat right now. Yeah. What? Oh, I need to do that. That's weird. Kind of like an important thing to show.
No, put it up on the to the camera.
All right, so here we go. Give me 1 second. It's a very short video, so. It's hard to see, though.
So do you hear what they're saying at all, or no? Yeah, we can see it actually.
Again. Wait. Saying the vote is already marked. So, there's that one. I have another one real quick that I can just put in and see if that one works. Same area. Another lady.
Yeah, for some reason, only Facebook, the website's not loading for me on this side. I don't know why. Even if I just type in facebook.com.
Okay, yeah. So, here it is.
So if you could just show it on the phone.
Oh, Facebook is, okay, I put it in the thing, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's on Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just show it to the camera. It was clear on the camera.
Okay. Hold on. Mark, look at this. You guys are witnesses. It's Mark. They're Mark. Keiko has one second. Como que sí, no se sabe. He said, you can't really see the ballot, this one, but she's saying it's Mark. You guys are witnesses. So, interesting that I don't know, you know, so there's more, but that was in the first round. That people were saying that in that area they got ballots that were already marked for her.
So in the U.S., voting still doesn't start, right?
So voting, right, exactly. And that was, they have to go that day, so they went, and that was for the first round in April, remember? And so they went, and those were the reports of.
Oh, we can't hear you really well.
Can you hear me now?
Not really.
No? That's weird. I haven't done anything different.
Yeah, okay, it's okay. Wait, so they are voting in Miami? They're voting right now, or?
No. That was from April. That was the first round.
Oh, that was the first round. Okay, that was from April. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. Like, that was the first round in April, And so people are saying, like, even in spite of that, you know, he still won, but they were saying, like, there was an attempt at fraud. Now, I don't know, obviously, if that was a mistake or whatever, but it's kind of weird that it would happen in Miami. You know, like, yeah. I don't know how they do the voting there, but she obviously had a piece of paper, so it's very similar to how they do it in most areas in Peru, where you fill out a piece of paper and you have to mark it, and then you put it in the ballot box.
So that was the first round back in April. So
April. Mm-hmm.
This one that's
So
happening is like the last round, and
it's the last round. So here's the thing for context, right? If he had won by a larger margin, he would have won the whole thing. So because she got, it's kind of like the, you know how Biden, if he had won less delegates, less percentage, he wouldn't have gotten all, like, the delegates in California. It's kind of like that. Like, Pedro Castillo would have won, period. But because she had a high enough margin, they were able to do the second round. Look at what happened in Ecuador recently, right? The leftist was winning, he was leading the first round. The second round, they had the election. What happened? I'm getting, like, deja vu here from that, right? And it's like, but in Ecuador, if he had won the first round completely by a higher margin, he wouldn't have had to face the second round, and Ecuador would have had a leftist president. But because that happened in the second round, and that's kind of what's happening here in Peru, and the second round could save Keiko Fujimori. So that's what people are fearful about right now. So it's crazy, fam. It's crazy. It's crazy. You have any super rays or anything to read?
Let me check.
Bams! I didn't check. Let me check the chat. Bams! I miss you guys. It's not like I'm not there. But.
So Clement Rebel says, good work, Fiorella. No offense, says, hearts and kisses, fam. And that is it on the rock, Finn. Thank you, fams, for that.
Thank you, fam.
I'm going to shout out some of the YouTube chats. SLV Revolutions, Roberto Gori. Some people were asking if you're Peruvian, fam.
Yeah. I was born there. Johnny wasn't born there. You can tell by the way you speak. Oh.
Yeah.
I actually have to practice more. Certain words escape me. I used to be really good when I took Spanish in high school. I took, like, Spanish literature, so I read a lot of literature in Spanish, and that's why I'm actually pretty good at Spanish, like, fluently with no accent. But I mean, there are certain words when you're talking in politics and you're talking at a higher level. You know, my level of English speaking and reading is, like, super, like, it's right here compared to, like, my level of Spanish. It's still high, but it could be higher. And I feel like I need to refresh.
Yeah, me too. We gotta spend like a couple months in Peru or something, and I'll get it all back again. When we went in 2017, I was starting to get it back again.
14, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. You know, when the sterilization of the indigenous women, right? And I'm just like, you know, why are they doing this? The question, why? Why are they doing this? You know, why would they do this? They're trying to exterminate Native people. They're trying to exterminate but this is across the world, is what I'm saying. This is a predator class trying to exterminate Native people. Native Americans, they did it with Native Americans. They're doing it with Africans, with Native Peruvians, Native Africans, Native, you know, any indigenous communities. It's kind of crazy once you think about it. It's like, why are they doing that? You know, it's because it's like racist, but it's like also like it's
well, it's both race and class, but also, like I said before, the Native communities tend to be more progressive. Like, if you want to call it progressive or whatever, socialist or whatever, because think about the Native American culture. It's very much, you know, we have to respect Mother Earth. We have to use every part of the animal. We have to, you know, we have to take care of each other. Collectivist culture. it's that mentality that I think that's where this idea of community came from. Like every single moment, in fact, that the predator class has tried to get rid of people who think about each other, who think about the collective. Because in that way, if you have a capitalist mindset where you're competing against each other, you're saying, well, I have to bring you down in order to bring myself up, then great, that works amazing for profit margins and for people who have that mentality. But once you start seeing like Native American culture and what it's made out of, and like what the things they emphasize are community and brotherhood and all these things, they may not call it socialism, but that's essentially what it is, and that would be a threat to a society where you value money over profit. And you can look at Africa and look at how tribes function and how that mentality of collectivism is also prevalent there. And America thinks they can come in, and Europe too, the West in general, the whole mentality was manifest destiny. It's our duty to teach these savages how to be, because we are so much more advanced than they are, and this is how we do it. Columbus discovered America. He discovered it before they didn't exist. So it's that whole mentality of like, this is how it's got to be. Because if we were to have a culture and a country, an existence that was rooted in community, like mutual aid, like helping each other out, just putting people over actual money, it would be a threat to the whole system that is now essentially privatized. By the way, just as a final note, Peru has better health care than we do, in spite of the COVID issues that we're having for lack of space and technology. Peruvians are given health care by their employees. Every person that's employed gets health care, and it's not deducted from their wages. It's the employer pays for it. And also, if you're poor and you don't have a place of employment, the government pays for your health care. Peruvians have better health care than America, and I was explaining this to somebody, and it's interesting. I was baffled that Peru can have a health care system where everybody's covered, either from employment or from the government, and that's it. And the medication is still it's less expensive than America, but it's more expensive in other parts of Latin America. So there's that balance. But comparatively, I mean, you can go to the doctor at any given time. And I was telling, somebody was helping me out yesterday that the people in America go in debt for thousands of dollars. What's the difference between Peru's healthcare system and our healthcare system? There's no insurance companies. They don't exist here. It's either the government provides it or your employer pays the healthcare system to provide your healthcare. And America still doesn't have Medicare for all. So there's that. Just so you know, the little country has better healthcare than America.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, fam. Thank you for joining us. Fam's live in Peru, on the ground. We couldn't have done it without all the fams helping out.
Only fam. Thank you so much, fam.
So that's pretty much it for now. We're gonna keep, reporting back from Peru, pastas in Georgia, getting some interesting interviews. Fam, if you can get an interview with Pedro Castillo, that'd be fucking. One of the things I forgot to mention is he doesn't really do many interviews because the mainstream media. It's kind of similar to Bernie. The mainstream media paints them in a very negative way, so they have advised them not to, which I think is a mistake in a way, but I get it. I totally get it. But they do, go after him. So I'm actually more likely to get an interview with Keiko than I am with Pedro Castillo, because she loves doing interviews. Oh, do it then. And fucking.
So, we'll see. I don't know where she's going to be, but I'm going to be in the Centro de Lima tomorrow. No matter what. The pool's open at 7. They close at 7 p.m. And we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see. I will try to go live, or we'll figure out how I can go live and stuff. And yeah, it's hopefully everything is chill. I don't know if it will be, but we'll see.
Alrighty.
All right.
Thank you so much, fams, and we love you.